this week's vlog, I wanted to talk about my other heating experiment in the greenhouse, and that is compost heating. If you watch a lot of YouTubes, and I watch a lot of YouTubes, you can find all sorts of instructions about how to heat your greenhouse with compost. And some of them are really elaborate, really elaborate. We're gonna try something really simple to start, and then, because I get easily bored, we'll make something more complicated later on. But first, we need to start with the ponies. They are the source of all my raw material. So here's what I was saying is the source of my compost material. The feed that I give the horses, the hay, comes from roadsides, ditch hay. So it's full of lots of sticks and twigs and rough grasses. They eat out the tasty bits, and they are kind enough to leave all of this material behind for me. So this is the result. It's probably 14, 15 trips with the sled, and we've filled up a compost bin that will live inside the greenhouse. Let me see if I can show you how I built it. My big fat horse is a bully on fences. So there's a piece of fence that he demolished. I flattened it out and made it into this bin. It's about 3 feet by 4 feet by, and it will be eventually 4 feet tall. And I aim to fill it all to the brim and harvest heat from it. So I'm gonna let the pile sit, cook at its own rate, give off heat. I will have it all covered in plastic in like a mini hoop house inside my hoop house, so hopefully that will trap as much heat in this area where I have things planted right now. And for fun, let's see how hot she is right now. So that's a good 45 degrees C. That's definitely in the cooking range, a nice active range. So I think that will be helpful. Interesting thing, it's actually gone down since last week. I should throw in a picture here. I measured it in the 60s. So that was after I added a fair amount of water to get it starting, to get it cooking, and those were also days when we had a lot of sunshine. So there was some heat in here, and it didn't have to lose as much to the area. So that was pretty exciting to know what it can do. So I have another plan for this as well, something I've seen on YouTube, where someone has, say, the entire north side of their greenhouse as this size compost bin times whatever the length was, and they would take their seed trays and just put them right on top. We know heat rises. There should always be some warmth at the top of the pile. And again, with a layer of plastic over it, that should help retain it inside and keep whatever seedlings that I move out warm. I'm not going to do this with my peppers and tomatoes. They're far too tender. They can stay inside the house. But I can free up some space if I bring out things like onions or cabbages or lettuces and put them out here. Now that's an idea. I've never even started lettuces before. I've never bothered. It always seemed like it took up too much space. But if I've just invented some space, I can make use of that. So it's Sunday morning. Let's build that tarp. Broken pole. Remember my fat pony? Well, he breaks poles too. And I'll rig up a couple of hooks so that it can attach to the wall when it's really, really hot. And that should do it. Give this a try. I put in some of my old lettuce seeds and we'll see how they do. I figure they'll sit on this tray. I can put this plastic cover over them. That'll help keep in the moisture, help the seeds start. If it gets very warm, I can always take this off. If it gets cold, I can fold the tarp back over and we'll see how this goes. I don't know if I adequately expressed my surprise when I measured the temperatures of this compost pile and found out how hot it can really get. I've had experience building what are called cold compost piles, where you just take yard waste and food scraps and manure if you have it, because I have it, in a large pile, and you come back 2 years later and you have compost. That's what I've always done in the past. This is the first time I've tried to deliberately reach high temperatures fast. So I did a lot of reading to find, how much browns to greens and what the magic formula is. There's no magic formula, and that's why I was so surprised. This really cooked easily. I think anybody can do this. I mean, I might be very lucky in that my materials are in the right proportions, the right amount of twigs and sticks to provide the browns and the coarseness to provide some airflow, and leaf hay scraps to provide the greens, and a little bit of manure to provide the starter. Maybe I did have the magic formula right off the bat. I doubt it. I think anybody can do this. I really need to work on my outros. I looked at my clips that I did yesterday as I was putting them together and realized I just sort of vanished. I'll work on it, I promise. I'll get better. So let's conclude what we got going on here. I built an additional heating system for the greenhouse with a compost pile. It appears to be working well. I'm looking forward to being able to share some good results with you. I will keep track of what the temperatures are and what they're able to do. And I think next week we'll be doing tomato starts and maybe reviewing all of the data that I'm collecting. That's always exciting for me. I'm a data nerd. So with that, we'll sign off. Thanks for coming by.